Hello, and welcome to the third meeting of the Top Shelf Society. Today we are going to be talking about The Unhoneymooners by Christina Lauren, possibly the most perfect summer read imaginable. Oh, but maybe I'm giving away too many of my own thoughts about this book. So we're going to do member introductions in just a second. I'm going to tell you a little bit about what we're going to be talking about. But first, I want to let you know that we already have our August live show planned. So our August live show is going to be Saturday, August 29th at 5 p.m. EST. As of right now, it's still going to be on my channel too, so we hope to see you there. But more than that, we're just glad that you're here and that you've joined us, and we cannot wait to discuss the Unhoneymooners with you. So let's start off with channel introductions, just kind of say our name and our channel. So if you haven't seen us before, you can get to know us. But I am Kristen, and my channel is Perks of a Book Flower. I've been on BookTube for 7 or 8 months at this point, and I read all sorts of things. But my favorite genres are contemporary, and that can be in middle grade, YA, adult, whatever. So that's me. Hi. Sarah?
Hi, I'm Sarah, and I'm from Sarah's Reading Nook, and I basically read with my cat often, and I do discussion videos as well, and I also like to read all different types of genres. My favorites are probably nonfiction, and I really, really, really love graphic novels as well. So yeah, that's me, and I would show you Olivia, but she is on my lap sleeping.
Oh. Laura?
I am Laura. My channel is Laura Reads Pages. This, just as Kristen said, my channel has been around for about 7 or 8 months. And I read just a little bit of everything. This is a very fitting book to read now because it's part of it set in Hawaii, and I'm about to start my summer vacation, a week of vacation today. So I'm flying to, I'm living in South Korea at the moment, and I'm flying today to a volcanic island at the bottom of Korea called Jeju, and the holiday place that has been compared to Hawaii. So
that is so cool.
I'm so jealous.
I'm so excited.
Oh. Later on in the live show, we're going to be talking about ideal honeymoon vacation locations. So there's a little inspiration there.
Yeah.
Okay, and Yesenia?
All right. Hi, everyone. My name is Yesenia, and my channel name is just my first name. I don't have a very fun channel name, but I've been around since the end of February, early March on BookTube. So I think I'm the newest one here, but I like reading contemporary as well, and that, same as Kristen, will go anywhere from children's to adult. But I think after this book, I'm having a really fun time with the adult romance genre, so that might be a new favorite. But yeah, so I do tag videos and discussion videos as well.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm glad that you mentioned the adult romance genre, Yesenia, because we're actually going to be talking a little bit about the adult romance genre and particularly some of the awful negatives opinions and hate that it gets for no reason at all. So it's good that you brought that up. And we have some people in the comments who want to say hi too. So we have Mer Reads, hi. And Rosie Stars and Books. My friend Leanne from Scrap Paper Scribbler, Elise, Damar Dan, and that's it for now. So we are so glad that you're here, and we're excited to go ahead and hop into our discussion of our book, which, by the way, just doesn't the cover just I don't know, just so many summer vibes. I love to look at it. Oh, also we have Angela. Sorry. Hi, Angela.
And yes, the cover is to die for. I actually had it on, I think I read it through Scribd actually, and I need to get my hands on a physical copy because it's just gorgeous.
Yes.
Oh, gorgeous.
Scribd had the audiobook, right? So if you're watching this and you use Scribd for it, let us know in the comments, and that'd be cool. And then we also have Tati, who read it.
Hi, Tati.
All right. So we do have two members who weren't able to make it to the live show today. So we have Stephanie and Angela. So we miss you guys. Wish you were here. I just wanted to shout you out as well. Okay. So first thing that we want to do that we always do is just kind of give a synopsis of the book. And then after this point, it's basically going to be like complete spoilers because we couldn't give like a complete thoughts of this book without going into that. So The Unhoneymooners follows our main characters, Olive and Ethan. And Olive gets incredibly lucky because on her sister's wedding day, everyone gets food poisoning except for her and her nemesis, Ethan. And so the book starts off with them setting off, for this honeymoon together. And it follows what happens whenever she goes on the honeymoon. And there are like interspersed with these sweet romantic moments and also some really crazy moments and some moments that seem like, how could this possibly have happened? This is like not even possible, but still it's so good. So yeah, that's our synopsis. And to start off, I guess I wanted to talk a little bit about the genre because it's an adult romance book. So I wanted to know, from you guys, do any of you regularly read adult romance books?
No.
Not as much as I'd like to, which is pretty ironic because rom-coms are my favorite movies to watch. So I don't know why I don't really pick up romance that often.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, not as much as I'd like.
Yeah. Laura, what if you said no? You don't read a lot of adult romance?
Uh-oh.
I think you're muted.
Or disconnected.
Mm-mm.
I'm pretty sure I saw her shake her head no.
Yeah, no.
Yeah. Okay, so we're going to keep going while she tries to figure it out.
Oh, hi, John. Sorry, I'm reading while Laura figures out her audio. I actually lived in Australia for 5 months a couple years ago. So whereabouts in Australia, if you don't mind me asking?
There's a little bit of delay. So I think what we're going to do is we'll just keep going while Laura figures it out. Sorry about that. So yeah, I don't read a lot of adult romance, but I don't know if Me Before You counts. Have any of you guys read Me Before You by Jojo Moyes?
I watched the movie.
Same.
Okay. Would you say that counts? Like the book version counts as an adult romance?
I think it would, right?
I think technically it is an adult romance.
Okay. So then, but that's like it. And so I don't really have a lot of authority, I guess, to say is this the perfect adult romance, but kind of based off of what I feel like adult romance is, I think that it summed up a good adult romance pretty well. Would you guys kind of agree?
Oh, yeah.
I would agree. I'm just laughing at Angela's comment.
Oh, wait, let me see.
Sarah's emphatic no.
Hi, Laura.
Can you hear me now?
Yes. Yay.
All right, let's hope that sticks.
Yeah.
I don't know where I'm jumping in, but I'll just add to, I was about to say that I don't read romance a lot because I think I've been influenced by the reputation it had. And I was going to tell a story where I was in, I think, junior high, and I might have brought not something that wasn't age appropriate, but sort of a rom-com style book home from the school library. And my mom saw it on the counter and she thought that it was a book that the neighbor had given her as a gift, and she threw it in the garbage. And so I didn't have my book to return to school. So So yeah, I have had like a negative like impression of romantic comedy, but like not well deserved. Just I actually So that was
Yeah,
my
and
story.
Laura, I think that story really embodies a lot of what the negative feedback is like concerning the adult romance genre, in the fact that people they say it's trash and they discount it as any type of valid literature. What do you guys think? Have you heard similar things, similar hate about adult romance?
I feel like there are gems, some gems, like among the genre, but I haven't really found many of them yet.
I think that there are a lot of things that would fall under the category of romance, but because of this negative reputation that we tend to assign to things that like women like and young like teenage girls
Yeah.
like, a lot of literature that people want to be like taken more seriously won't be marketed as romance,
Totally.
which like is a shame. So yeah.
And like adamantly, I just have to say, I think that adult romance like is valid, is wonderful. Like if it's what you love, read it, because it does count, right? Like, and even though I don't read like a lot of it, that's on me. Like I need to read some more adult romance because clearly like this is amazing. If Me Before You does count or whatever as adult romance, I think that's amazing too. And so, yeah, I just had to get that out there. Like the genre is so important. And I think that Laura is right. The hate that it gets is very similar to people who will hate on like Twilight or something because of like how it's something that so many young girls loved. I think that our society just like loves to hate on what young girls love. Yeah.
That's really a great question that John just asked. That like if we had a specific recommendation that like men would enjoy, but it's a great question because I was watching the Today Show the other day, and they actually had like this whole story about like men reading more of the romance genre now. And one of the books they talked about, I haven't read it yet, so I can't specifically recommend it, but they talked about the Bromance Book Club a lot. And then another adult romance that I just read was Red, White, and Royal Blue, and I absolutely loved it, and I cannot recommend it enough. Like,
Yeah.
I could book all day.
Yeah,
And
it's interesting that romance is thought of as something marketed directly to women. I just like, I wonder why that is, you know? That is interesting to think about. Yeah.
Isn't it funny how like in books from the 1800s though, like the male characters were always more romantic, and even like in media now, it's almost like the guys are always the ones who are portrayed as like acting in more romantic ways, you know, or what we could like perceive to be romantic. Like it's the guy showing up with the flowers or the guitar outside the house and like wooing the girl. I don't know if you guys see some of the same trends, but I think it's interesting that happens. I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Maybe it's because I grew up in a household that those books were more widely accepted, but yeah, I think it shouldn't be something that's just marketed to women and young girls. I think it's something that everyone can connect to, but so yeah. I wouldn't say I have like a specific recommendation for like a male versus a female. I just think that they're all great to read.
I would recommend, I read earlier this year, The Binding by Bridget Collins, which has a male romance at the center, and it's sort of set in like a sort of historic past, but like magical realism is tied in. So if you're into magical realism, that book's really good. Yeah.
Ooh. Okay, I'm going to read out a comment from Leanne. She says, I think a lot of it goes into the patriarchy, book snobbery, the idea that every book needs to be a literary masterpiece to be good, which just isn't true. Yes. we could go into a discussion right now about like this reputation that literary fiction has over like genre fiction. And I think like it's silly, but there is kind of this idea that literary fiction is somehow better. But I would argue that it's not better, they're just different. And
Yeah.
would you agree?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think people read for different reasons, and sometimes you're reading for entertainment, and sometimes you're reading to educate yourself, and sometimes you're reading like for, I don't know, the poetic part of the work. So yeah, everything is written for a different audience and for a different reason, and nothing should be, more should be assigned a moral value, I don't think.
Mhm.
Yeah. Good. Okay. And then Angela said, I feel like everyone has different likes and dislikes in regards to romance and romantic partner preferences. So it can be difficult to find romance books that you specifically connect with and enjoy. What do you think
I
about
totally agree with this. I was even thinking about this like as I was reading it and sort of trying to figure out why I do not read or enjoy a lot of like targeted adult romance. And I think it's because like I don't like being fed what I think someone thinks I would like in a relationship, in a partnership. So a lot of it feels inauthentic. And it doesn't like come anywhere near like what I would think is a like positive, healthy relationship or partnership. Oftentimes, I find that like romance in cinema and in novels, it's just there's something about it that doesn't feel authentic. It feels fake. So it's difficult to find a partnership that I feel is like would be like a partnership that I think is like a healthy, like fun, authentic relationship. So that I think is what is lacking. And also too, to love the romance, you kind of have to enjoy the partnership. And if you don't, then it will fall flat.
Definitely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's really well. That's very well said.
Yeah, I was just thinking some of my favorite romances actually have been in books that weren't targeted as like romance at all. Like a historical fiction book I read recently. It was mainly about the story, but like I loved the characters so much, and like their relationship just made so much sense. And so, yeah, I think that extra plot bits kind of helped it, I guess. But, like at the same time, like that might just be me, because if I was really invested in the characters, I think I would love a story that like just centered around their romance. And in a way, actually, the book Normal People is kind of like that, right, Laura? Like you read it as well.
Yeah, that's what I was going to bring up. I think that book falls both in the category of young adult because it's about the lives of young adults. It starts with the main characters who are still in high school, and it's very much a romance, as in it centers around a romantic relationship. So, but I think that book was marketed as literary fiction. It could have very well been marketed as young adult or as romance, but in order to be like considered more literary, it was marketed as literary fiction. So, but it definitely falls in the category of romance. Yeah.
And there were elements in Normal People that were very like literary-esque, like the very slice of life, the kind of like satisfying ending, things like that. But yeah, it totally could have been marketed as adult romance too. So it's just interesting when you start thinking about why books are put in the certain genres that they are. And like, it's not just if the story was written that way. Like the publishers are thinking about so much more. I don't know. I just find it interesting.
I think a lot of it is marketing.
Yeah.
Marketing, publishing, trying to target to a certain like subset of people who will gravitate towards the read.
Yeah.
Advertising.
I always connect it with tropes as well. If like, I think Normal People, it sort of didn't follow the typical I don't know, the typical plot line of a romance, in that it wasn't about like boy meets girl, how they get together. It was they get together really early in the book, and it was like about how they maintain their relationship and what their relationship did for one another, and how they helped each other like come of age as people. Whereas like there is a very kind of I guess like cliche format for that you think of when you think of like the sort of rom-com that you see on TV. So yeah, I think it's about expectations, and yeah, I guess that's what marketing is marketing to people's expectations.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, it doesn't matter if it's just like a fun, amazing, like meet cute story, or some kind of literary thing that's like making a statement. Like if you love it, like love it, and it's valid and it's so good. So, okay. Also, Leanne had a comment, and then we're going to move on in a minute. But she said, Beach Read is a great romance book that talks about a lot of these issues. Has anyone else read Beach Read?
I wanna.
Okay.
But I want so bad.
Yeah. So basically, I'll make it really quick. The main like girl in Beach Read writes women's fiction, and her books are basically taken less seriously. She meets this guy who writes literary fiction, and basically he's become so much more renowned. Like people think so much more highly of him than of her. And it's kind of because of like the genre stuff. So even books now are starting to imitate this issue. So if you're interested in and you're watching this, check out Beach Read as well, because it'll definitely take this conversation a little bit further. And then Leanne also added, when we were talking about publishing, she said publishing is a business. It sucks, but it's a money-making industry. Yeah, I get it.
Totally.
I just think it's sad, because I think it keeps some books from being read, you know, like because of the stigma, I guess.
I think so.
Okay, but so we're talking about the adult romance genre in general. So I'd love to know what you guys think makes the Unhoneymooners like a perfect example of an adult romance book.
Everything.
Everything from the age of the two main characters to the spicier things that were added into it. But I think just like overall, like kind of the issues that they were facing with too, are kind of, it's more adult type content than you would find in like a YA romance.
Yeah, and so we're like completely in spoilers now. So I feel like fine saying like it deals with like marital infidelity and their sex and like all of that in the book as well. So yeah, definitely like adult content, definitely romance content as well. I don't think that adult romance books have to like have erotic content or sexual content. Yeah. But that does like just make it, you know, it fits into the genre with that as well. Anything else?
There's just so much.
Those are the ones that stuck out to me, but
yeah.
Yeah.
I think one thing that I feel like makes it great is like the use of the tropes. Like to me, I didn't feel like I was just getting a story that's already been told. I don't know if that's because like it was in like this fun setting, or if I just don't read a lot of adult romance, and like maybe that would have made me feel that way. But I thought the tropes that were used, like enemies to lovers and things like that, I thought they were done really well.
Yeah, tropes aren't always a bad thing too. I mean, like it just depends on what you're looking for when you go into the book. For example, like I use the example, I love the like original 3 Star Wars movies, and they are so formulaic and like that's what I enter the movies like wanting to see, you know. And when they made the new movies, someone said, "Oh, but they're just like exactly retellings of the original ones." So, like that's all that I wanted, you know. So like it just depends on what your you know, what your expectations are going in. And I did think this book was like very predictable, but it was good for, you know, like that I went in expecting that, and that was fine. I actually was surprised with the part at the end where I guess towards the end of the book where she's sort of gaslighted for like revealing someone's bad behavior. I don't know how spoilery I want to get, but I think that was a really realistic situation that a lot of women face, and like that was something important to talk about. So like it wasn't all, there's the lines kind of blurred between something that's purely entertainment value and something that brings up other issues. Like it's always a combination of both, no matter what kind of book you're reading. So yeah, so I thought that was like an interesting discussion to bring up towards the end of the book. So yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay, so does anyone have anything else they want to say about like the romance genre before we move on to tropes?
Well, I do have something to say about like what I think made it a really great adult romance. I feel like Ethan and Olive, they were both like very solid characters. Like Olive had like such a good personality. She was witty, she was smart, and she was flawed. And same with Ethan as well. And also too, the side characters, like her sister, Amy, had still quite a bit of like characterization to her as well. And so did Dane. And I thought that that was really cool. So I really like it when there is a character who, you know, reading it, you sort of see how they self-discover their own flaws. And I think that Olive did that. And I'm not sure if she would have done it as prominently as if she wasn't in that relationship with Ethan, because Ethan kind of forced her to see her own flaws because there was so much resistance. And I think that that resistance sort of came from perhaps a flawed first impression, and a narrative that she sort of undertook and fully went with for a lot of the book. So it was really cool to see her discover, like, wow, maybe I don't have the worst luck in the world. Maybe I don't, you know, like maybe things aren't as they seem. So I liked that. So I like that sort of aspect of her self-discovery throughout the book.
I'm talking about the flawed first impression. Does anyone like connect any romance book to Pride and Prejudice? That's like the first example of a romance book, because like that flawed first impression was reminded me so much of Lizzie Bennet and Mr. Darcy. So yeah.
I'm so glad you brought that up, because I was just like, oh man, when I picked up this book, I did not think I was getting like some Pride and Prejudice just in the modern day. That was great. We actually have an interesting discussion going on in the comments, and I think it will kind of segue really nicely into our next topic as well. So let's check those out. We're talking a little bit about the enemies to lovers tropes. So Angela said, do you all typically enjoy enemies to... Oh, wait, I'm so sorry. I missed one. While it had adult topics, I still found it was a light and easy read as well, which can be found in adult romance books. Yeah.
Totally.
I think I would see that. I wonder if that's why Me Before You wasn't classified, I don't feel like, as much as an adult romance. Like, it was light, you know, in some places, but it's also very dark. I don't know. I know nothing. Okay, enemies to lovers. What do you think? Do you guys like it?
It is my favorite trope, so I ate this book up. Yeah, it's always been my favorite, but I agree. Never in my real life, but in my books, yes, give it to me.
I like it if it's done well.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because it can be a little toxic if it's not. So if it's done well in like a fun way, like in this book, I think I enjoy it quite a bit. But it's a really difficult balance, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree with both of you. So I don't think it's the most realistic of tropes, but I mean, tropes aren't realistic, but yeah, it can be done badly, you know, if one person is actually treating the other person badly, and they come to accept this. But I really enjoy it when it's done well.
Oh yeah, no, that's not my jam. The mistreatment of people is not my thing. But
of course, not.
About it in a few minutes, but I like this one felt more organic and realistic because it was all based on literal misunderstanding between the two characters. So yeah,
it was hilarious.
Pride and Prejudice.
Oh, really? You're holding on for years.
The cheese curds every time.
Oh, no.
I relate to that.
How?
Oh my god. I just love cheese curds. I remember going to summer camp in Quebec when I was a kid, and they have a lot of cheese curds in Quebec. And I remember coming home and telling my parents, they have this cheese that you don't need to refrigerate. I'm so excited about it. My parents were so yeah.
Laura, I'm getting like Canadian
curds.
poutine vibes.
Oh yeah, I love a good poutine. Yeah.
All right, so I have some tea. I have never had a cheese curd, and I don't really know what it is.
Same.
Oh.
It's the Americans.
It's like it's squeaky cheese. Quick. It makes like a squeaky sound when you chew it. It has like plasticky texture. It's very fattening and very good and delicious. Have you had poutine?
No.
I've had vegan poutine.
Yeah, it's cheese you put on top of poutine.
So is it like cheese straws? Have you guys had those cheese straws or like cheese crackers?
It's kind of different.
Is that the same?
It's not stringy for sure, but it's I don't know. It's like its own thing.
Huh? I'm googling it right now to see what it looks like. It looks like mozzarella
chunks like this. Yeah, it's small. It's usually in small pieces.
Huh?
Curds. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Interesting.
I highly recommend.
Yeah, the fried cheese curds looked good. So, yeah. Okay, I lost my train of thought.
You gotta come to Canada.
That's right.
Guys.
All right, so Angela agrees. She says that enemies to lovers, definitely not good in real life. I think the only way would be kind of like with what you guys were talking about, like if it was a misunderstanding situation.
Totally.
Yeah.
I also like it, and I don't know if I've actually read, this is just nerdy, but I don't know if I've actually read it, but in fantasy books where there's like the villain, like, I don't know if anyone saw the BBC Merlin television series. I really wanted Merlin and Morgana to get together, like in epic, I don't know. Anyway. I don't know if I've ever read a book like that, but.
Now I'm thinking about all the problems in Beauty and the Beast, which is my favorite fairy tale, but it is like enemies to lovers as well. And like he captures her. He does let her go, but she is kind of enslaved. But I don't know. Oh,
but it is a tale old as time, so
true.
That was really bad. Bad joke.
No, it was good.
Yeah, it was terrible.
So enemies to lovers can be corny sometimes, but Elise enjoyed it in this read. And Angela says not in real life, but fun in fiction. And
totally.
Rosie says one of my favorite tropes. And then also mistreatment is more towards dark romance. Yeah. Definitely.
Like 50 Shades.
Oh my gosh.
Oh man.
Do not get us talking about 50 Shades, man.
Dude, it's life. Like I feel like I always, whenever I think about anything regarding romance or whatever, oh my god, 50 Shades.
It's a wild ride.
Sorry if any of you love 50 Shades of Grey. It was just not my jam.
Totally.
Okay, so also we're off track, but that's fine. The cheese curd debate. Okay, so we have some more information about that. Angela says that she's American and doesn't know what it is either. So maybe it's an American thing. But then Leanne said that she's a Brit and she's baffled by all of us. So
It's that Canada UK connection.
I guess so.
Yeah, I think cheese curds, it's like the fat left over after you make the other cheeses, I believe. So you can imagine how good that is. It's sort of, I'm not sure, but it's something like left over in the process of making milk and cheese.
Just gotta go to Quebec.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
man.
they have the best.
Quebec is where it's
Amazing cheese
famous.
curds.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, so I believe before the great cheese curd discussion of 2020, I think we were talking about tropes, and we had started off with enemies to lovers. So I thought one thing that would be interesting is if we kind of made this like a whole talking point where we talk about tropes in books. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to read out a list of some common tropes in adult romance. And maybe we can just kind of see how many of them were in this book. So I have love triangle.
I mean, there's been a little bit of jealousy, but not
but I
full-on
wouldn't
love
necessarily say like a legitimate love triangle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so not that one. Trapped in an elevator. Were they?
The whole premises are trapped somewhere together, like in a hotel room or in.
Oh yeah, we can
Trapped in Hawaii.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
Step up from an elevator, but
Trapped in an island.
There you go.
Yeah.
Obviously, I know, right?
Terrible with the beaches and the
for free too. Oh my gosh.
I know.
terrible.
I wanted to live their life. I was so living vicariously.
Totally.
Secret billionaire. No.
No.
Yeah. No. Second chance romance.
I guess with her Amy at the end, she.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
This
since we're in spoilers, it was almost the second chance romance because Ethan was interested in her from the beginning and then was told to back off and then went for it again. So I guess technically, but probably not in the way that a trope usually is.
Yeah, because we see like it in its pure form, I guess, like in The Notebook, whenever like Allie moves away and they break up and then they like go a span of time before they have like this big restart. But yeah, I think that it could count.
Not to get us off track.
I have the taste of an older person, but one of my favorite TV shows is a British sitcom, As Time Goes By. I wonder if anyone's heard of it, but As Time Goes By is second chance romance. So
really?
Yeah.
Oh, I love
like,
that trope.
a couple who meet in older age and were like lovers as young people and then meet again at older age. I like that trope too. It's sweet. Yeah.
It is sweet. I could go into more about it. I won't because we're off topic, but I think that there's something so special about that. Okay. Forbidden love.
Technically.
You could say, couldn't you?
Kind of.
Okay, so if you're watching this,
hide their.
Go ahead.
Yeah, sorry. They are planning to like kind of hide their relationships when they get back. Or they're planning to tell people, but I don't know. I can't remember. Go ahead.
No, well, okay, so like Ethan, right, is the brother of what's his name? Dane.
Dane.
Yeah.
Okay.
Of Dane Cook.
So, I mean, technically, she is like dating her brother-in-law, which could be considered a forbidden, I don't know, type of thing. People might think it's weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. That's something to think about. But you could kind of twist it that way if that you didn't like that. Friends to lovers.
Definitely. Really? I feel like weren't they friends, for the first couple of days in Maui?
I feel like
Maybe
it was
not.
enemies to frenemies to lovers.
Yeah.
To fake dating to actual. Yeah, they went through it.
I don't
Yeah.
know. I feel like it was like really like they launched into it like really quickly, like they just like snapped into love.
I almost don't necessarily feel like they were ever really friends. Like, so I agree with you. Like, it felt like it just jumped from one to the other. And even if they were, like, anytime they had good things to say about each other, they were never saying it to each other because they kept pretending like they hated each other. So I feel like they never really got a chance to be besties.
I don't know. I feel like even when they were enemies, it was a little bit of like friendly banter, though. It was a little bit. I don't know. I see what you mean, though. Definitely.
Fair. Yeah, I see. Yeah.
I kind of side with Laura a little bit on this one.
Yeah. I don't know.
I think it's maybe gray or how you perceive it.
You could say secret friends to lovers. Okay, here's another trope. Just one bed.
Yes.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh, I'm so trash for that one.
Yeah.
Like,
and I love the little like fighting they were getting into each other over the bed. Like they were like, "Well, I did this for you, so I get it."
I know.
It was like, psych, no. Now I did this, so you have to, yeah.
That one is so funny because usually there is another option, but in some books they will like play it off like there's no other option. You just have to share the bed. Like someone could sleep on the floor, you know? Like
it's hilarious.
Oh my gosh. If you've
so
never read
awkward.
Yes, if you've never read The Flat Share, they do this, but like in like a different type of way. Like they literally share a bed, but they're never in the apartments at the same time. So it's not quite as spicy, but it's interesting.
That's actually on my shelf right now, The Flat Share.
Yeah, I like it.
Oh my god, the comments are hilarious. There you go.
Oh, okay. Let me see. Okay, so we're gonna catch some comments now. Leanne said, "Fake dating is a damn good trope." Yeah, that I don't know if I said that one, but that's on this list actually. Yeah. Let's see. I think his secret want to hit that kind of undermines that they were ever just friends.
That's what I'm saying. Like it was just I hate you to sexual tension.
You guys.
I'm blushing.
I just love the phrase "hit that." Like, and that Leanne said it. Oh, it's great.
Oh,
It's so funny.
Let's see what else. Elise said such a great trope, and then Angela
Totally.
said, "Haha, I never thought I'd hear Kristen say I'm so trash for that." Listen,
Me neither.
it's so interesting. Like, I don't know. Like, oh, there's only one bed. What are we gonna do?
Spicy.
Yeah. Yes, there you go. I love the only one bed trope. But yeah, even though in this book they don't do it in the traditional way, right? Like one of them sleeps on the couch. So unfortunately. Normally you see it like they're in some like cabin or something and they have like not a lot of room and they just have to share the bed. Okay. Let's see what other tropes I have. Oh yeah, and then fake relationship.
Which was one of my favorite aspects of the book. I thought it was so fun. Especially when they brought in other people like his ex and then her boss. Like it was just really well done in my opinion.
Yeah. What did you guys think about those like little incidents? Like the fact that like the boss was in Maui and then also Ethan's like ex-girlfriend.
My brain kept
Just
going
happened
like,
to be at the same resort.
I was just like, ethics.
Oh
You're
my
committing
god,
fraud, ethics.
yeah. I had to,
So I was just like,
put
oh
that
my
aside.
In my
I
head, like, damn, she really is unlucky.
Yeah. A trope that I don't like that much is the one of wanting to perform to make like a girlfriend or an ex jealous. Like I think maybe I just don't understand the like I don't understand people's need to do that. So maybe I don't like I don't like that trope, though I did love a lot of the tropes in this. That was one that I sort of don't get on board with. So yeah.
So before we move on, speaking of his ex and her fiance, in my head, I don't know why I kept thinking this in my head, because in nowhere in the book did it state this, but I always had it in my head that she was pretending to be engaged to that guy too. And I don't know why.
I did too.
But
I thought that's where they were going.
She's overselling this relationship right now. Yeah, so in my head, that's what I thought. But I don't know. I'm glad to know I wasn't the only one, Laura, because I was like, oh, that'd be so interesting if she was faking it too.
No, that's totally where I thought it was going to go. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so interesting because now that you see it, like their relationship did seem weird. Like I remember when they were on that boat to go snuba diving, which by the way, what the heck is that? Like I want to do that. I was like, they were talking about how they were like all over each other like so much. And I just feel like real established couples like don't behave in that way, you know?
Yeah, and they were adults too, you know? There's such a performative part of their relationships, which you sometimes see in like teenagers, but not in people, in their mid-30s. So, yeah.
Yeah.
So I definitely felt like she was trying to make Ethan jealous. But then when she was trying to get Ethan to go out with drinks with just her, I was like, this is weird. What is your deal? You're with somebody that you say you're so happy with and you're going to marry. And why are you trying to hit on Ethan? That's Olives.
I know. That was so weird. And then like the next day or something, she's just like, never mind. I'm going to pass on that. Like, I did not understand that part at all.
I didn't get it either.
Yeah.
Did any of you get that? Like, why?
Did she pass on it or did he text? I understood that he texted her to pass on it.
I think
but maybe I read that wrong.
Oh.
I think he did. Yeah.
Oh, okay. That's my bad then. I could have sworn I read it. Okay. We have a hello from Troy. Hello. Everyone go watch Troy's channel. He's so bright and fun. It's awesome. And Angela has some information for us. Snuba is a mix between snorkeling and scuba diving. You are attached to oxygen from the boat, so you can stay under longer, but don't need the training for scuba diving. So awesome. Angela, have you done it? I would love to know.
Sounds like she has. That's awesome.
Yeah, I would love to do that. Ugh. Not gonna lie, I'd probably be afraid of sharks, but still, sounds fun. Okay, so are we ready to move on from tropes now?
Yeah,
sounds good to me.
Okay, all right, so next we were gonna just kind of rate the romance, I guess, talk about, did you think the romance was believable?
Okay. Yeah, I thought it was pretty believable. I wasn't a fan of how he treated her at the end, like the end conflict. Wasn't a fan of that, but I also do think that that's kind of what made it believable too, because he was stuck in a really awkward and weird position to where you don't want to ditch your brother, but you also really care for this other person that you wouldn't be able to believe that she'd lie about something like that. You know what I mean? So I think it was pretty believable.
Yeah. I think so, because I think that a lot of times, like, miscommunication is like a problem. And I think
Totally.
that, like, the miscommunication or whatever, like in the very beginning, and then I don't know, like, in my experience, like, I haven't experienced romance like I do, like, in books like this, where it's like all encompassing and like the guy like says these like amazing like sweet things, but like I've experienced some of that, just not as much. And I guess with it being a book, like you're just gonna see like a whole bunch of like romantic interactions. So I don't know, like in everyday life I would say, you know, like you're not gonna like get serenaded every day. But
I
like
felt, yeah, so just to add to that, I felt like some of Ethan's lines were just a little too well written, like just a little too perfect. And then the like writers would comment and be like, "Oh, did someone text him that answer?" And I was like, "You guys know this, right? And you're telling us that you know that he's too perfectly like well spoken and said the perfect thing." Because like that part to me was not all that believable.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Laura.
I thought the time frame of how quickly they went from truly disliking each other to like being in a very committed relationship was maybe not the most realistic thing, but it was definitely fun to read about. And I think like this sort of like bickering, arguing kind of flawed relationship, this is quite realistic. So yeah, and like Yesenia said, that situation at the end where she's like sort of she's like not believed, I think that's quite realistic and something that a lot of women face. Yeah.
Absolutely. This is random, but something Laura said made me think of it, so I like have to ask. Do you guys believe like in love at first sight?
Ooh, good question.
Do you think that's possible?
I believe with infatuation at first sight. I wouldn't necessarily say love at first sight. Like it's really easy to get that initial crush on someone and want to be with them all the time. But yeah,
I think love at first sight is a manifestation of hindsight 2020. I think you just look back at situations where you met someone and what you choose to remember are your like initial romantic feelings for that person because they like manifested into a relationship. So yeah, I think it's hindsight 2020. Sorry, Sarah, I interrupted you.
Oh, I just remember reading like a psychology article like back like in grad school or something like that. And it basically showed like a time frame and sort of like a stepwise progression of like a romantic relationship. And so in that sort of model, and of course, like scientists have their own biases, right? And I understand. So basically, like in that model, there isn't really a space for love at first sight. There is more of like an infatuation at first sight. And then it can progress to like love, but at least in the model that I read about, like it's very rare for love at first sight to actually happen. But I think that it's a nice thought that love at first sight can exist. And I think that it's something that we want to exist.
Yeah. And actually, going off of Laura's comment, the hindsight 2020 hindsight, I completely agree with that too. And in this book specifically, when she was talking, I forget who Olive was talking to, but she brought up the dinner that they had, that her and Ethan had with her boss and his wife. And she said, that was the moment that I fell in love with him. And it's like, no, at the time you were annoyed with everything he was saying. So it's easy to look back now and say, oh, that's when I really fell for you. But she was rolling her eyes at him the whole time. I was like, I can't believe this guy.
That's such
Totally,
a
I
good
thought the same
point.
thing. Yeah.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, I will say that whenever I look back and think about like all the people that I have loved, a lot of it has been built off of like context and time, you know, like the things that we've gone through and what I've learned about that person's character from discussing with them. So I kind of agree too. And I think the fact that we are fed love at first sight, I don't know why, because I think it's damaging. Just like I kind of think how like watching Disney movies over and over, like as a child, and then reading like romances and things, like when I was young and impressionable, like I feel like that also damaged me a little bit in a way, to be unrealistic about relationships.
I think it's a mistake to depict relationships as something that happens to you and not something that like you work on and that you maintain, and that like idea of happily ever after, where you meet someone and you click and it happens to you. It's not something that you decide to engage in. But I don't think that's realistic, and I think that's harmful and gives people unrealistic expectations of relationships. Because I think like relationships don't end when you get married. It don't end with the happily ever after. They're things that you have to maintain over time and that you have to decide to be committed to. So yeah.
Relationships are a constant evolution, constant compromise, constant. You need to work on relationships throughout the entire relationship.
And then we have some great points being made. In
I know. Let's catch up. Okay. So this is like way back, but Troy said, thanks for the warm welcome. Yes, please do watch Troy. Very nice. Library of Alexandria is here, our biggest fan. Hello.
Hello.
We love that you're here. Leanne said, I liked the first half so much better than the second half of the book, purely due to setting, I think.
Oh,
what do you
I can understand that.
The first half. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Okay. I believe in chemistry at first sight, like picking up on a connection. Kind of, I think you definitely can do that. Yeah. But to call it love, probably too far. Leanne also does not believe in love at first sight.
No.
Okay, from Southern Country Living, when you meet the right one, it can be love at first sight. We've been married 48 years now. Marie and I both are enjoying this live stream.
Congrats. That's so cute.
You know what? That's sweet. But you do meet people that challenge. You do meet people who do have stories of love at first sight. Like I met a couple who one of the members of the couple was French and the other one was Brazilian, and they were thrown together for 5 days at a youth conference of some sort. And they said love at first sight, and they got married a year later, and they saw each other like they didn't see each other in the intervening time, and it worked for them. So you do like, yeah, it's amazing. So yeah.
I love that. In my mind, I cannot fathom it. So I guess I just have to put it in that part of my brain with like things that are like mystical and magical and miraculous. Because to me, wow. I mean, that's amazing. Library of Alexandria, I think love is too complex a decision for it to occur without knowing anything about the other person other than their outward appearance. Yeah.
Fair.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I guess like unless your first encounter with someone, like you like meet them and you like have a really long discussion with them and then it becomes clear, like you can maybe call it love at first. I don't know.
I understand. You sort of have to like test out each other a little bit too. I feel like you need to see how that person reacts in certain situations. Like, do they have the same set of values as I do? Do they have, can we vibe? Can I get along with their with their family? Can I get along with their friends? There's so many dynamics to relationships. So I have kind of like that analytical, yeah.
I also think love can like grow out of shared experiences. So even if you have that spark upon first meeting, like like engaging in a relationship and having experiences together, like I think is also a big component of what love is. So yeah.
And if you already have that, like getting started, then yeah, I guess you could call it, love at first sight. Like if you just immediately like have that shared experience. But like for me, I know I couldn't, because like to love someone, I have to trust them. And like because I have a hard time trusting people, it would like take a long time for that trust to be proven to me before I could even tell a person I love them,
Yeah, maybe that's what love is at first sight is. It's just meeting someone that you like very instinctively trust. Yeah.
That's interesting. I love this discussion so much.
Me too.
We also continue to have some like really good comments. So the Library of Alexandria said, a quote from a book I just recently read: "Love, as the poets often painted it, was just bald lust wearing a pompous wig. Sinlin believed true love was more like an education. It was deep and subtle." What do you think?
Interesting. Pretty deep.
I can totally see that. Yeah, I think that's like, in my mind, I can't imagine like seeing someone and just instantly getting there, like to that point. But maybe other people, and never complete. Oh, yeah.
I think that's what I was getting at when I was talking about shared experience and like something that you work on, you build, and you maintain over time, as opposed to something that happens to you. Yeah, that's a really nice quote.
Says in a beautiful way, basically, what I believe about love. Okay, Angela. My husband and I had chemistry at first sight, and within 3 months became best friends in a relationship and got married. That's awesome.
That's so cute.
Yeah. And like, I mean, probably like, I can't like assume this at all, Angela, but probably soon on meeting him, right, you like noticed those shared experiences that you had, and that like trust and safety, and that's what got it there, like at that level. And I think that's awesome. And there are so many stories about people who like meet like that and like fall in love and get married in such a short time because they just know. And I think that's awesome. She says, it made me understand that every couple is unique.
I do agree with that, yeah.
And then we have some discussion between our commenters. So the Library of Alexandria said to Angela, I knew I loved my wife pretty early on as well. Sweet. Sometimes you know. Aw, we got so romantic up in here.
Yeah.
So single.
I think you can know pretty early on.
Oh man. No, that was good.
Cute.
Yeah. I like the idea of that. Oh, we have some more from Angela. Yes, definitely agree. There has to be a foundation and connection and love and trust with each other. Yeah.
Her next comment. Yes.
Making us all gushy.
All of her cheeks are like rosy.
I think I've been blushing for like an hour. My face is so hot.
Get a fan.
I know. I have the fan going, actually.
I know.
Okay, at this point, we're already at an hour. So I have more. We're probably going to have to like rush through a little bit more of this. But I did have this one question before we move on to the next segment. Do you think that Olive and Ethan were good for each other?
I liked that the book didn't go in the direction of, oh, let's change each other, or because I don't really believe in that aspect of relationships. I think they each were their own person and they worked well together, but wasn't a question of like I change you to make you better, you change me, and like independently. I don't know. I liked that they didn't bring that into the book. So, but good for each other. I mean, I think they enjoyed spending time with each other, and I think that's the point of relationships. In a way.
I'm happy for them. I'm happy for them. I thought that they were good compliments to each other.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I really did enjoy how great they were separately too. That was one thing I really enjoyed. That I didn't feel like either of them were dependent on one another at the end of the day.
What do you think of sort of the journey that Olive goes on, where at the start of the book she thinks of herself very much as someone who's prone to bad luck, and then sort of stops thinking about herself that way by the end of the book? Do you think that was related to her relationship with Ethan, or like is that some sort of way in which the experience of meeting him and starting a relationship with him changed her outlook on things?
I don't even necessarily think it was Ethan that did that. I think it had everything to do with her sister when she just point blank called her out to stop being such like a complainer, thinking that things just happened to her,
but,
you know?
Yeah, but when she has that conversation with the sister, it's in a very like kind of toxic, and she's not right. Like she's not believing her sister's claim that, you know, like Dane hit on her, because she's saying like you're a pessimist, that's the way you see life. It's like sort of a way of discrediting her perspective. So like,
but I see what you mean, but I even think like that part of the aspect wasn't great, but I think she even brought in like the fact that she lost her job and all these other things, that it's like, no, you gotta, like, that kind of was on you a little bit. But yeah, the conversation about like, I didn't like the way that whole Dane thing played out from Ethan or her, what was her sister's name?
Amy?
Amy?
Yeah.
Amy.
Or
yeah.
Ami.
Yeah.
But no, I definitely
so
what you mean.
I think it's very difficult for Olive, because if you can imagine having a twin, and you create a sort of narrative and persona, because you have to have an identity that's different from someone who is identical to you, because otherwise you will never be your own person. And so I thought that maybe she stuck with that narrative of, you are the lucky one and I am the unlucky one, and this is forever how it will be. And I think that through this experience, she's able to, I don't know if her luck has changed, but her perception has changed. And I think that was just how it happened. And her experience, not just her relationship with Ethan, but the entire experience of going on this like honeymoon vacation to Maui, right? And seeing like, okay, maybe this is something that I'm creating. And then she really got slapped hard from Amy when she came back during that sort of fight that they had, which, I mean, if you have a sibling, yeah. So that part was very fascinating to me, and her relationship with
I
Amy.
agree. And I think I agree, and I agree with Yesenia when she says I think it's more to do with her relationship with her sister than her relationship with Ethan. And then when she sees her sister, who she always thought of as the lucky one, and having the perfect life, having been treated so badly, I think she sort of realizes that life has its ups and downs for everyone. So yeah.
I think an argument could be made though that like falling in love with Ethan did change, like it changed her perspective. Like you've heard the saying like love gives you a new lens on life. Like you could say that some like of that positivity, I guess, that like made her able to say that she's not lucky anymore. Like some of that optimism maybe could have come from like that kind of optimism that falling in love gives you, for at least a short time. Maybe. Okay, we've got some good comments. Oh, sorry. Were you going to say something, Laura?
Oh, no, I was just I don't know. Was it
No,
Yeah.
that's okay. I do that too. Okay. Let's see. Toddy said, I think Ethan and Olive were good in the sense that they pushed each other to be better. Yeah, I like that.
I can see that 100%.
And I think that if you have that in a relationship, like that's goals, right? Like kind of growing together.
Definitely, yeah.
Okay. And then I think they were good for each other. It didn't feel or seem like it was necessarily a toxic relationship. They both seemed like their own person, but were still crazy about each other in the end. Yeah. I agree.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay.
I'm just sorry. I will say one more thing, and it's kind of harkening back to what we said like a couple minutes ago. But I do think that I don't think that Olive's lesson was to learn that she brings bad things upon herself. I think it was more to learn, that everybody is equally like the recipient of bad luck and good luck in some instances. Yeah. So.
Yeah, I agree. I think that a lot of the scenes that are like written are like clearly making that point. Like if we wanted to like break the story apart into like theme and everything, I think that would be the one that we get the most support for with the scenes, because it really does center all around luck, right? And she does learn that there's just, luck is like equal for everyone, I guess you would say, like good and bad happen to all people.
Yeah, and you have to cope with all sorts of different situations, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, and the perceptions of other people, like this person is a lucky person. However, the events that happened with her sister, which were not fortunate at all.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And so I had where we would like say our favorite part and our least favorite part, but I think for the sake of time, are you guys good for me just moving on to like discussing if this is a top shelf read?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So we're going to start this, guys. And if you're still watching, let us know in the comments below, like what you thought. Is this a top shelf read? Let us know what you thought. So I'm going to say that based on like my limited knowledge of like the adult romance genre, I think that this book is like top shelf for the genre. Like personally for me, it's not my favorite type of book to read. Like I don't normally go for it, but I think that if I were to like go for an adult romance book, I would want something very similar to this. Because I think that like underneath like the romance going on, which the romance is very good, I think that there was like this element between Olive and her sister that I loved so much, and like the family dynamics in the story that I loved so much, like this really close supportive family, and also like this big idea of luck. Like it had these things that like made it so good to me. So yeah, I'm gonna say top shelf read. Sarah?
Yeah, I think it is. I think it's a top shelf read for sure. I would pick it up again. I would read it again. I feel like one of the things I love so much about this book, which we haven't completely like discussed, it was written so well. Like I just thought the dialogue was hilarious. The situations were funny. Like it was so awkward. I loved it. And and just so much stuff happened. Like, yeah, there were like predictable parts, but it was just like sometimes you can know what the story is. Like so many stories have the same beginning, mid, and like kind of falls apart at the very, like near the very end, resolution, whatever. So many stories do that, but this one, just the writing got me hooked. And I believe, if I am right, it was written by Christina and Lauren. Like, it was written by two individuals. And so I think that's really cool because and so I think that's really cool because you can like check each other to be like, does this seem like believable? Does this seem whatever? I don't know what their process was, but if I were to write a book, I would probably want to write it with someone else just to get like another person's insight. Like, is this terrible dialogue or is this not? Like, what do you think as like a new event to happen? And I think that it's like really cool. So I really, really like this one. And I was very pleasantly surprised at how funny it was. It was great.
I can go next if
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, I went into this with
Yikes.
is it Yesenia?
No.
Yesenia, you can go.
No. Laura, it's
you can
working.
hear me?
I just said, oh no, because I didn't know if that was a good laugh or a bad laugh. You just did.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, sorry. No. I was about to say, no, I went into the book with a lot of skepticism. Not all of it was, deserved, but I haven't enjoyed romantic comedy in the past. I think Sarah said it really well at the start because I felt a little bit alienated by it because I felt like it was trying to give me some it was trying to describe the sort of relationship that I was trying to tell me a story or like describe the sort of relationship that I wanted, and then I would read it and think, oh, but this isn't what I wanted. This is my experience. However, I am happy because I actually left this book until Wednesday this week, and I was like, talking about it on Saturday, I should probably read it. And I was pleasantly surprised. I thoroughly enjoyed my experience of reading the book, and I was very surprised, like Sarah said, by the writing. The writing was really good. Now, a top shelf read, based on like purely my enjoyment of reading it, maybe, but it's definitely not among my favorite books that I read this year. So I did really enjoy it. It surprised me, and I'm probably going to try more romances after this. So yeah, sort of, I'd say no on the top shelf read, but like a gentle no. I did.
Yeah. So it's like
enjoy
on
reading
a decent level of your bookshelf, but not top shelf.
Exactly. Yeah, well said.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we're on the same page.
Alan's comment just made me laugh. Yeah, I did not enjoy Emma, but
oh, only our longtime fans of the Top Shelf Society know there was so much hate for Emma. Oh, bless it.
I remember that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that one time.
Sarah.
Pork loin. Pork loin. I'm gonna forever remember that.
Oh, the pork loin, and now the cheese curds.
The cheese curds.
One day, if we ever have a gathering of like the Top Shelf Society, we need to solely eat pork loin and cheese curds.
Yeah.
I can't believe you haven't had cheese curds.
I haven't.
What a shame. You've really missed out on life.
Okay, so Yesenia, I know that you still need to say what you think. We just got like a ton of comments all at once, though, so I want to go through this really quick. Does anyone think they enjoyed this so much because it was a lighthearted escape from the reality we're all going through now?
That is exactly why I liked it, Angela. I think you're right. It was very escapist.
Reasons I liked it too. I really liked the escapism of the whole thing. I even felt like I was on vacation in Maui.
Yeah.
I just went back to work after my vacation, And everyone was like, where did you go? And either I would say my couch, or I would be like, I went to Maui because I read The Unhoneymooners.
Yeah,
Totally.
I didn't get to go anywhere, so this book kind of did feel like my vacation.
Totally.
Okay, let's see. Ooh, and Justice Laura writes the dissenting opinion.
Laying it down.
Mm-hmm. All right, Elise, I thought it was a top shelf read. It was fun. The tropes were well done, and there were really good topics regarding relationships. Yeah.
Love it.
I agree. And also, like, I think that they explored the concept of luck in a really interesting way. That's kind of like what pushed it to, I think, being a top shelf read to me, was like that whole idea and portrayal of luck, I guess, because I just found that interesting. Okay, the only thing I really wanted more of was Ethan's perspective throughout the story, but still I was really surprised that I enjoyed it. Yeah.
Can I just add to that?
Yeah.
Because I agree with Elise. I wish that I had his perspective at like parts earlier, and I think that because they had two authors, that it could have been kind of cool if like one of them maybe like wrote more predominantly from Ethan, but that wasn't the case in the trajectory of this book, right? But I will say that the epilogue was through Ethan's perspective. Am I right?
Yes.
Yeah, but it was just one portion of the book, so I think that's a cool comment.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought that was interesting too, because this was my first Christina Lauren book, but I think I have the Honey Don't list on my shelf too right now, and it is written in dual perspective, and each of them took a different perspective. So that's what I thought this one was going to be, and then very quickly on, I realized, oh, we're just getting Olive's perspective. But the epilogue was actually one of my favorite parts, so I'm glad that we got his perspective at the end, at least.
I will say though, I think not having Ethan's perspective makes the misunderstanding part of the book work better, right? Because
that's true.
we go on the journey. Like we go on the journey with Olive from thinking that Ethan is kind of a jerk to learning that some of these things are misunderstandings. Where if we had Ethan's perspective from the beginning, like we would know more than Olive. So I think the book really like works from Olive's perspective in that way.
That's a fantastic point.
It does make sense, although I will say I think it could have been interesting to like see both of those perspectives and like know that they were both wrong about their feelings about each other, and like just have that bird's eye view, you know, kind of that like, is it dramatic irony or something, like whenever the audience knows something the characters don't. I think that could have been interesting as well, but like I completely understand it. I just personally like the dual perspective because it just gives like more opportunity to see the characters like yearn for each other, and I love that. I'm all about the yearning. Okay, way better than Emma. I stand by Emma. It doesn't hold the candle.
Angela.
I like Emma too. Emma is much, in my opinion, is better than this book, I will say.
I watched the movie of Emma. Oh my God.
Oh, what do you say, Laura?
I said I just watched a couple nights ago the new movie of Emma that came out, I think 2020. Loved it. I don't know if it was Angela recommended. Someone in the Top Shelf Society recommended. I thought it was Angela, but yeah.
I think it was Angela. Yeah, I actually liked the book better than that movie. I don't know why.
Oh yeah.
I thought it was like making the whole story a joke. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
But just like.
Yeah, but I liked that. I thought it was hilarious.
I got takes over the past couple weeks with books, so Emma just did not do it for me.
That's fine. I love that we're a house divided. I think it makes us interesting.
It makes it spicy.
It does. We've got some tea. Sorry, I don't know why I keep saying that. That was so loud.
That's okay. Love it.
Okay. Let's see. That's the reason Sarah liked Unhoneymooners, because there was no pork loin. Someday we should get t-shirts and they should just say pork loin and cheese curds.
We We should be the pork
And
loving
whatever else
cheeseburgers
we like throw
society.
on there in our next videos.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I can't wait to see what food is in our next book.
Right.
Take a stand, Angela, and Angela did. That's awesome. Oh my gosh, this has been so fun. Okay, Yesenia, let's hear your thoughts though. Is it a top shelf read?
All right, I'll make it quick. So I think this is a top shelf read. I ended up giving it 5 stars. Absolutely loved it. Is it the best book that I've ever read in my life? No, but it gave me escapism, gave me some of my favorite tropes. And I agree with I thought the writing was really, really well done, especially considering that it was written by 2 people from one perspective. And I have to give my kudos to Christina and Lauren for being able to do that, because that's a really tough feat I know they've been writing with each other for years and years and years, but it's difficult. But yeah, and I actually, my mom is getting ready to read it right now. So.
Oh!
So I'll
likes it.
let you know if mom thinks it's a top shelf read or not. But no, I think that this is something that men and women from all different ages can connect with, whether you are a teenager, young adult, older. Like, I just think there's something in it for everybody. I think it's really fun.
Yeah. Okay. Well, now we're going into conclusions, which is sad because this has been such fun time.
So much fun.
But this is definitely our longest live show yet, but there was so much to discuss. So what I want to do now is just make sure you know that our next live show, like I said, is going to be the last Saturday of August, which is August the 29th at 5 p.m. EST. And so what we're going to do is similar to what we did for this month, which is that in the next 2 or 3 days, we're going to have a poll go out in our social media. So our Instagram, our Twitter, and our Goodreads. Make sure that you just vote. So we're going to have a vote for what book we're going to read for August. Make sure that you just vote on like one platform. And the books that we're going to be choosing from are Fahrenheit 451, The House in the Cerulean Sea, The Alchemist, and The Hobbit. So whichever one you want to read, make sure that you go onto one of our platforms within the next 1 to 3 days and vote so that, you know, your voice can be heard. And then whichever one wins second place is going to be our book for the month of September. Date, time, like to be determined. So this way we'll be able to give you like a little bit of a more in advance notice of what book we're going to read for September in case getting it like is an issue, because we've had things come up recently where like we've had to just pick the books spur of the moment, but we're trying to like get past that. So okay, and if you want to follow our social medias, I did leave the links for that in the comments below. No, in the description box below, as well as everyone's YouTube channel links. So make sure you subscribe to everyone. And I guess that's going to be it. So thank you so much for stopping by and chatting about the Unhoneymooners with us. It's been good.
Thank
Bye.
you.
It was fun.
Thank you, everyone, and thank you, Christina,
Yeah.
Sarah, and Yesenia.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.